Good day, everyone. Good day to all our viewers in our FB Live. Today's activity is entitled Take Action on Suicide Prevention for Our Warrior Parents. This is a part of the GCCSO's Embrace program, wherein we offer various webinars and activities to our students, to our teachers, and to our parents about suicide prevention and suicide awareness. So for the session objectives, this activity aims to number one, educate the parents about suicide and its causes, the warning signs. Number two, spread awareness to parents regarding suicide prevention. And number three, give knowledge on how parents can prevent suicide. So I hope we can attain and achieve these objectives at the end of our session today. So before we proceed, I would like to express my special thanks to Forefront Suicide Prevention Mental Health Technology Transfer Center Network. I would like to also thank School Assessment Research and Training Center, DBT in Schools, Northwest PBIS, and Well Educator, because this presentation was from the Forefront Suicide Prevention as part of their Well-Being series. This episode is entitled Learn, Save Lives. Okay. And a gentle reminder to take care of yourself. This webinar covers a topic that can be emotionally challenging. If possible, talk to someone you trust about your experience today to help you process your thoughts and your emotions. Number two, self-care. After this training is also important. Do not forget to do your self-care practices after our session today. Number three, remember that practice makes progress. We are no superheroes and we still have a lot to learn. We cannot grasp everything in one sitting. So it's okay if you haven't practiced what we learned today yet. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make room for mistakes, and it's okay to make room for improvement and learning. As parents, we do not need to be perfect, perfect mom or perfect dad. We just need to be open in a sense that we are open in listening and respecting our children's experiences, and also being open to learning opportunities like this. Lastly, if you can avoid multitasking today, kindly avoid multitasking to fully understand our discussion and to fully grasp the discussion today. Please refrain from multitasking and focus on what we are discussing. Okay, so I think we can now formally start our session. So I have here statements. Let's take a look at these following statements. The yellow box contains facts about suicide, and the green box contains myth about suicide. So let's go through the following statements in the yellow box first. Number one, suicide affects all community, and it is true. It is indeed a fact about suicide. Suicide affects any gender, any race, any status in life. With regards to age, there are age ranges that are most vulnerable, the younger age and also the older age range. They are most vulnerable for suicide. Number two statement, many suicides are preventable, and that is correct. I think we are all familiar with the iceberg theory. The tip of the iceberg that is visible above the water is only a small part of the big chunk of ice below the surface. Let's imagine that iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, which is only available to our naked eye, is the suicide deaths, and the iceberg beneath the water is the opportunities for prevention. So there is a big opportunity for prevention to suicide. And we are grateful us in the university and us in the GCCSO are very grateful for all of you who are learning with us here today, because we know that taking this step, taking this action will lead us to a awareness to suicide. Next statement. Suicide results from multiple complex factors, and it is a fact. Suicide is caused by various risk factors such as major life changes, existing mental health condition, physical disability or medical condition, access to harmful means, among others. Those are uh, few of risk factors of suicide. Now let's take a look on the green box that reads about suicide. Asking about suicide can cause suicide, and this is a common misconception to a lot of people. A lot of people avoid discussing about suicide because they thought that suicide can cause or can aggravate the feeling of or suicidal thoughts. But in fact, talking about suicide make us become more aware and enlightened about this particular topic. So we will be talking about these statements in deeper sense as we go through our discussion. Okay. So moving on, let's talk about the numbers or statistics. Why are we here? Why are we talking about this? And it's because there are a lot of numbers or big statistics according to survey that suicide is very rampant, very there is an alarming number. According to a survey in 2018, 17 young people die every day from suicide, according to American Association of Suicidology, and that is quite a number, right? Moreover, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in 2018, suicide is the second leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds, which are what we call the youth, the younger generation. And there is also an approximately one suicide for every 25 attempts. And this is also according to American Association of Suicidology in 2018. So these are global survey, and it might be your son, it might be your daughter, it might be your child that might experience in this. What you are seeing in your screen is another survey of the youth from the US naman ito in 2019. Again, take note this is from the United States. So there are 45% 8th graders who are not being able to stop or control their worrying. Also, there is 40% of 10th graders who are feeling sad or hopeless 2 weeks in a row. And 18% of the 12th graders are making plan for how they would attempt suicide. Okay. And then 1 out of 5 youth show signs of mental health condition or mental health disorder. And it's quite an alarming number, right? Even though this was a results from the US, this can be possible to happen to Filipino youths. It can be one of your children. It can be your son or your daughter, right? So it is very important for us to take action. It is very important for us to really dive into this discussion and to really become more aware um, of this suicide. So how can we take action? So learning about those numbers and statistics, we should now take action. We should now learn what can we do, what can we share as parents. And there are three main roles as a parent. So number one is connect, number two is maintain, and number three is support. Number one, connect. It is very important, very vital, and very crucial to connect to your child. Have a one-on-one conversation with them, have a consistent dialogue with your child, and have an open communication with them. It is very important that you ask kumusta after every school, now that they are in a hybrid learning environment. It's very important to have an open communication with your child every now and then. Also, it is our responsibility to maintain and to keep our home safer all the time to prevent suicide. Later, I will discuss more about that. And then lastly, it is our responsibility to not only support our child but also identify additional support system for them. And later, um, I will also discuss in deeper sense this following roles. Okay. So it is also important to understand, why do teens consider suicide? Teens who have suicidal thoughts have decreased ability to cope with what's happening in their lives when it becomes too big, when it becomes too overwhelming, when it becomes too hopeless to handle. And there is also an increased feeling of pain and hopelessness. People who have suicidal thoughts are not trying to leave this world. This is their coping strategy. Suicide is their negative coping strategy to the pain and hopelessness they are feeling. So it is very important to know what they are going through, what are their struggles, what are their challenges. Because individuals who are thinking about suicide or thinking of suicide is in a difficult emotional state. It's hard for them to reach out. They feel they are a burden to those around them, and they feel their life is no longer worth living. And as a parent, you as a parent, we should be proactive in helping them reduce the risk of suicide. So we have these 5 steps of how you can help, and there is this acronym to help you remember the steps. Yeah. So just remember the word learn. So L stands for look for signs, E stands for empathize and listen, A stands for ask about suicide, R stands for remove the danger, and N stands for next steps. So we will be discussing these steps one by one. So number one, let's discuss look for sign, the letter L. What should you look out for in your child for you to determine that they need help? What are the signs, warning signs that or red flags um, that might distinguish that this child needs help, that this child needs your help or a professional help. So there are 3 categories of the signs you can observe. Number one is emotions, number two is actions, and number three, verbal or written. So for the emotions, here are the signs or red flags that you can observe. Agitation, there is emptiness, there is loneliness, there is anxiousness, there is anger or irritability, there is shame or humiliation, there is hopelessness, there is helplessness, there is this sudden unexplainable joy after periods of depression. Also, number two, you can look for signs in their actions or behavior. People or individuals who are thinking of suicide, they are commonly withdrawing or isolating themselves from others. There is this increased alcohol or drug use. There is this trouble sleeping and eating. It can be oversleeping, or they are lacking of sleep, or they sleep they find difficulty sleeping at night. Or some people who overeats, and some people do not have the appetite to eat. So that those are some behavioral changes. Another is researching ways to die, giving away possessions, reckless behavior, and self-injury. Okay, so for the verbal or written, talking about feeling trapped, hopelessness, or being a burden, joking about researching ways to how to die, and also verbalizing threats against themselves and others. Let's now proceed to the second step, letter E, which is the empathize and listen. So we took the first step, which is look for signs. We have now determined the warning signs or the red flags. Now we have to take the second step, which is to practice empathy and practice our listening skills. So to help you understand what is empathy, I will show you a short clip in my next slide, so watch closely.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
That's so beautiful, right? There. I just want to stress that line from the video. Like, empathy is feeling with a person. That's so uh, that's so very comforting for the person who are struggling or who are facing challenges. And I also want to stress that uh, that dialogue that the the one who are giving empathy said that I don't know what exactly I what exactly to say right now, but I'm glad you shared, and that's one beautiful reminder for us that um, it is okay that you don't know the answer is. It's okay that you don't know how to fix things. It's okay that you don't know what to how to comfort or how what to say correctly. But the most important thing is you are there, you are present, you are with that person, you are journeying with the person. Okay, so now there, sorry. There, so let's proceed to this question from the video. Can you answer this question? Which of these is an example of empathy? So number one is offering to fix the problem. Number two is asking why questions. Three, providing our own perspective. And four, mostly listening. So what do you think is the answer? Of course, the answer is mostly listening. When we empathize, we listen, and we listen to understand, and we understand to help. So it's important that we are reminded that the key to empathizing is listening. The key to empathizing is communicating so that we can understand, we can help them, we can offer our help to them. So the first three options like that offering to fix the problem, asking why questions, and providing our own perspective are common characteristic of parents, right? Are you guilty of these characteristics that sometimes we want to offer to fix the problem right away, or we tend to ask why questions to our child, and then or we also tend to provide our own perspective or our own assumption to the problem. But doing these three things might affect your child's learning of life skills, may also impede the communication, may also it may also lost their learning to problem solve, to think critically, and to do or manage their challenges or manage their problems. So it is very important that when you listen and when you ask your child, it's really important that you listen and empathize. Now, so what are the components of empathy? So there are three components of empathy. Number one, listen, reflect back on what they share. Second is avoid judgment and stay neutral. And third is acknowledge and validate emotion. So first, we listen and reflect back on what they shared to us. For example, they shared something to you and you can respond. I hear that you feel frustrated because of your schoolworks. I hear that you feel disappointed about your grades. I hear that you feel sad about this. I hear that you um, feel angry about this. So it's very important to listen and reflect about what they have shared to you. Next is avoid judgment and stay neutral. Again, we should not give our perspective or assumption on the problem. We should not make assumptions and we should not blame them for feeling that way. So it is very important that we should acknowledge and validate their emotions. We should not dismiss what they are feeling, what they are going through right now. It is very important to validate and to acknowledge the feelings they are feeling at that particular moment. So here are helpful things to say to your child whenever they shared something to you. It's okay to be anxious or scared. I understand you're feeling angry about this. Tell me more about that. I'm so glad that you told me that you're feeling really lonely. This is really tough. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Tell me more. I'm listening and I love you no matter what. And these statements or these communication can really go a long way whenever you're speaking to your child. Next is step 3, where we looked for the signs, we listened and empathized. Now it's it's the step 3, which is the ask about suicide, letter A. So how can we ask about suicide? How can we um, ask about this concern or about um, suicide directly and specifically? So be courageous whenever you're asking. Be direct, be specific, and avoid vague language. Make it straight to the point. For example, are you thinking about suicide after you have acknowledged their emotions, after you have noticed um, their feelings or their experiences? Now you can ask directly, are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? So make it straight to the point. Next, when and how often do I ask? So when you notice multiple warning signs together, So if you notice those warning signs that I gave you a while ago, the emotions, the actions, and the verbal or written, if you notice or observe multiple warning signs altogether, you have to ask. Or you can also ask when there are noticeable concerning changes in behavior outside of what you would expect from. So sorry for this, since this is a presentation during that time. So when there are noticeable concerning changes in behavior, you have to also ask. And then lastly, when your gut or instinct tells you, so you might want to ask them and um, constantly constantly checking on them. So it is very important to take note of these. Next, how do I ask about suicide? So how can you um, how can you speak to your child about it? So when you observe something from your child, identify that and show your concern and ask them directly. Like, how do I ask about suicide? So sometimes when people are isolating from friends, or sometimes when people are feeling alone or pushed away, sometimes when people are upset after a breakup, they're thinking about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide? Something like that. So, okay, or you can say, I notice that you're withdrawing yourself from your friends, or I notice that you're locked up in your room for quite some time. So, is there something bothering you? Are you all right? Are you okay? Is there something you want to share with me? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? You can ask something like that to your child. So, what if you ask them but they said no? So keep the lines of communication open by empathizing. Let let them know you care and ask them, who would you tell if you were feeling suicidal? So there are times that teens or the youth are not that really open, or not that really are really ashamed to share or to tell stories. So you can ask this question. So who would you tell if you were feeling suicidal? Also, you can ask them if you are still or if you are still concerned about their safety, gather more information and ask about suicide again. Okay. So now, what if they say yes? What should you do? So take it seriously, thank them for their honesty, and acknowledge the pain they are in. So we will be um, going back to the first letters, that you have to acknowledge their pain, you have to validate their emotions, and you have to appreciate their honesty and their courage and their trust to you when they tell you their stories. But what if they ask you not to tell anyone? They ask you to keep it a secret. What could you say? So you can tell them that you will be with them, communicate with them whatever your limitations are in keeping that secret, and keep that confidence. And if you can keep that confidence, tell them that you're in it and you are with them. You'll help them figure it out, even if it needs um, to involve some other people with that problem. So make sure that you share your concern, or you show your concern, and show them that you are there for them. So next, letter R. We are now um, approaching the last two letters of the step. So R is remove the danger. So you can uh, ask follow-up questions like, have you thought about how you might end your life, or do you have any access to those means? So ask them their access to harmful means at home, or since you are a parent, ask them what are their plans, and what are their um, what are their uh, what are their what are they thinking of com- um, um, committing this, or how what are their thinking of how they can hurt themselves, and keep them safe from those means, keep them safe from those harmful uh, devices or harmful um, stuffs at home. So you should remember these. So you have to keep them away from firearms if you have at home. You have also to keep them safe from prescription medication and over-the-counter medication, because it can be a harmful for them. So you can keep safe those things from them. And also, whenever the child or the person is in crisis, you have to keep them safe from these materials. So alcohol and drugs, belts, ropes, plastic bags, knives, sharps, car keys, and chemicals or pesticides. So if they are in crisis at a particular moment, keep them away from these materials. Okay. So the last step, the letter N, is next steps. So in this step, knowing the resources and helplines is very important. So in my next slides, I will be sharing to you some helplines in the Philippines that you can contact in case of mental health crisis at home. So here are some helpful resources. This is from the NCMH, National Center for Mental Health, hotline 1553. This is Luzon-wide, landline toll-free. They have also Globe NTM numbers. They have also Smart or Sun NTNT numbers. So you can call these numbers. There are also suicide crisis hotlines and Hope Line. Another is the Amang Rodriguez Memorial Medical Center OPD Acute Psychiatric Unit, the Philippine General Hospital Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine Department. So, Ateneo Bulatao Center for Psychological Services, PsyConsult Incorporated, Prescription Psychiatrist and Psychologist, Free Psychological Services, Living Free Foundation. So, you can screenshot these numbers, and you can also find these in the web, so you can screenshot these numbers. Now, so what if you are concerned about your social media post? They have they post um, um, very alarming tweets or very alarming status posts in Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So many of these social media platforms have options to report concerning content. So whenever you see this, use learn steps first, and uh, if not, follow the platform's guidance on reporting. So there is a report button there. So whenever you are seeing particular post or particular contents in the social media, so you can follow the social media platforms guidelines on reporting. Okay, so now to apply the learn steps, I would like you to watch this video to fully understand how you could help and how you could connect, how you could maintain, and how you could support your child whenever they are in crisis, or whenever you notice something uh, changes in there. Okay, so
Hey, Danila, can we talk for a minute?
Sure, what's up?
Well, it's been a while since we've talked, just the two of us.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy with midterms right now.
Right. I was thinking about how much you missed your dad. You had that panic attack at school. You've been spending a lot of time in your room, not hanging out with your friends. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I try not to think about my dad. It's too depressing. And the school drama is really getting to me.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize things were bad at school, too.
Yeah, people complain about their parents. I just don't get it.
You've got a lot going on. Your dad can't be here with you, and you're worried that he's okay. It sounds like the stress at school just keeps piling up. Maybe we should talk to your school counselor.
No, I don't want anybody to know. I don't need people feeling sorry for me just because I'm going through a hard time.
I can see you're really upset and anxious. Sometimes, when people feel this helpless and alone, they're thinking about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide?
I'm just tired of hearing about other people's problems. And nothing I say or do makes a difference. I just figured nobody would notice if I was at school.
It sounds like things have gotten really bad. Especially when you say no one would notice if you were gone. I think we can get through this if we work together.
I don't know.
Danila, have you been thinking about suicide?
Really, I'm fine. Don't need to worry.
Danila, look at me.
Okay. Okay, I have. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be sorry. I'm so glad you told me. Have you thought about how you might end your life?
Not really. It just keeps popping in my head.
I can see you're in a lot of pain. I'm so glad you told me. I don't know what our next steps are, but I just learned about the Lifeline, and I think now might be a good time to call them.
I guess.
I think you should have someone you can talk to at school, too. This isn't something we can ignore or try to solve on our own. Who do you know at school that you could talk to?
Well, my health teacher, she knows that I'm stressed and going through a hard time.
That's great. Having people to talk to will give us more strategies and help you to feel less alone. I can tell this wasn't easy.
Yeah, I just didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I'm trying to be strong and get through it on my own.
You don't have to ever be alone. You're so precious and I love you.
Okay, so as you can see in the video, she applied the learn. She have looked for the signs na she's been withdrawing from her friends, from her classmates, and she also did the empathize and listen. The daughter is looking through the phone for a while, and then as you noticed, she helped the child to take away the phone for a while and talk. So without forcing or without um, really coercing the child to share, and also she practiced the pace that she did not really force the child or force her daughter to share, but she helped her. Um, she applied um, the steps to help the child um, little by little share her struggles or her challenges, and also the thoughts of killing herself or thoughts of suicide. And also she applied the next steps, which is she asked for someone who can she ask for help. She also shared the lifeline or the helpline that they can reach out to. So this is a practical example of how you can apply the learn, the LEARN. So how you can take action against suicide. Okay, so there. So to end our session, so here are the steps that you can do today. So summing up all of our discussion, so you can use what you learned to reach out to someone in distress. You can also put 24-hour crisis resources in your phone. You can save them up to your phone or to your phone books, so they so you have it come in handy. And also, you can make your home safer to help prevent suicide. So please, please remember those ways, those steps to help you and to help your child whenever you are facing crisis, mental health crisis like this. So a small step can really go a long way. So start doing today, start your action today against suicide. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. So if you have questions, if you got questions, you can email me at majanine.bautista@ue.edu.ph, or you can message us at our Facebook page, UE Caloocan GCCS. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for attending, and have a great day.